At 5 a.m., 25 minutes after the accident, Captain Smith ordered all lifeboats to be prepared. Only half of the passengers on the ship had enough space. The chaos was gradually lost control. The Titanic's insurgents continued to call for rescue. Although the other ships were quite close, the insurgents on some other ships were asleep. The Olympic crew, along with White Star Line and the Titanic crew, heard the call for rescue, but it was too far away to come and help. The Titanic carried 20 lifeboats with a capacity of 1,178 people and a total of 2,201 people, including passengers and crew. They said that the Titanic was too noisy when it didn't have enough lifeboats, but in reality it carried many lifeboats more than required by British trade union. At that time, the number of lifeboats needed was determined by the total number of passengers, not by the number of people. The regulations related to the lifeboat capacity were changed to the last in 1894, when the largest ship only had a total weight of 10,000 tons, compared to the size of the 46,328 tons of the Titanic. During the moment of death, everyone threw themselves onto the ship in the hope of survival. The passengers in the first and second row easily approached the lifeboats by the two main bridges leading straight up the deck. But the passengers in the third row were not lucky. While most of the women and children in the first row and second rows survived the shipwreck, most of the women and children in the third row died. The two ships were still tired of sending rescue signals. In the end, there were some ships that responded. The closest ship needed 4 o'clock to reach the Titanic, a time that was too long. The shipwreck on land also received rescue signals from the Titanic. One was a radio station at Cape Race, Newfoundland, and the other was the Marconi radio station on the Wanamaker Station in New York City. Right after the rescue signals were sent, information was continuously transferred from this ship to another ship. Everyone immediately rushed to the White Star Line offices in New York City to monitor the fate of the ship. At 2 a.m., the Titanic ship was slowly sinking, but it seemed that the passengers were not in a hurry to go down to the lifeboat. The Titanic ship was warm, bright, and seemed very safe. And at that time, there were no external signals showing that it was facing a great danger to get on the small, dark, and cold lifeboats. Captain Smith ordered the lifeboats to run half down, hoping that these ships would come back to rescue the people still floating on the water. And some ships received the cold like that. When the ship sank, everyone began to worry, and some lifeboats were sent down with more people. The first women and children were cold. The duck feet of the ship began to float off the water. The water slowly sank through the doors of the captain's room and sank into the front deck. At that time, Captain Smith ordered the lifeboats to stop working to find the ship. At 2:18 a.m., the water fell into the water, breaking down the hull. The power system and the light bulbs were still shining brightly. All the lifeboats were completely submerged. The second Titanic ship, with the power of the ship, fell into the water, and hit dozens of people under the sea. At 2:20 a.m., the Titanic completely submerged thousands of people in the water. There is a truth that cannot be denied that the Titanic sank because of the sinking of the ship. But for many years, researchers have been trying to find out the cause. Right after the disaster, investigations from the UK and the US concluded that the ship ran too fast. If it moves at a slower speed, the accident will not be as serious. Even the Titanic can completely avoid its equal. In that case, the collision will only break 4 ships, and the ship can still float on the surface. Many opinions say that the ship can avoid the collision if the driver... There is a possibility that the truth is hidden from investigators to protect the reputation of the White Star Line and its colleagues. After the Titanic sank next to the sad Beocum, people began to hand over to each other about the strange things in this disaster. So far, there have been many explanations around the disappearance of the ship, including mysterious explanations that are difficult to explain. In 1898, a novel by the author Morgan Robertson about the death of a ship. The author named the ship Titan, given the story that happened before the Titanic sank 14 years ago. In April 1912, after the Titanic sank, people discovered the tragedy of the Titanic, and the story has many similarities. It was a clear night, cold in April. The largest ship that moved on the surface of the sea was 243 meters long, weighing 45,000 tons, was considered impossible to sink. It was floating on the surface of the ocean with about 2,500 passengers sleeping peacefully. Then suddenly the ship entered the